Okay, so I'm going to start with The Nation. Buhari backs lawmakers' position on direct primaries. This is by Jabia Mila. Don't write a revised competent test, says NUT. Bailout states to share 656 billion naira. FG, ASU reach truce over planned strike. Korean government endorses 5G technology before. Federal government won't interfere in #NSAS panel report. And court stops Minister AGF from deducting the $419 million Paris Club refund. Okay, which stories are we taking?
Major headline.
Go ahead.
So the National Assembly has, retained the clause for direct primaries, and they've said that by next week they'll be sending it to the president for accent. Of course, this is against the across parties, the governors' forum across parties that are in that are not in agreement with this, that are still proposing that they leave it open for parties to decide. So, according to The Nation, that is short and long of it. They've retained it. The Speaker of the House has said that the President agrees with him on this, and that, he's positive that this will be accented to by the President like that. Okay, another story in Nation?
Yeah, so the government of Korea has promised to support the federal government of Nigeria on the deployment of the fifth generation network, which is the 5G, early next year, and they are going to be donating $13 million to commence the second phase of capacity building through the Korea International Cooperation Agency. They had already given 8.5 million, which has been spent on the first phase of the program, government e-program, which included capacity building, establishing digital training centers in schools and cities of Nigeria, and supporting e-government infrastructures. Right. So the Korean ambassador, Kim Yong-shae, is saying that Nigeria remains the focus of Korea because we have, amongst the African countries, we have the largest economy and population, and they're trying to see how we can all work together for our own development.
Yeah. So the federal government yesterday said that it had enrolled 924,590 out-of-school children into school under its Better Education Service Delivery for All, BESTA. So BESTA is a $611 million World Bank project, and its focus is to increase equitable access to out-of-school children in 17 states here in Nigeria. And so far, since its inception, they have reduced the number of out-of-school children. When we used to have in 2018 over 10 million, we have a little over 9 million right now. So they're doing a good job, and government and all the stakeholders are commending them. And also, we have the NSSEC, which is the National Senior Secondary Education Commission, and also, they're working hand in hand to just make sure that we have more children get access to education, especially, the problem is highest in the north, as we know. Yes.
So the president, while speaking to Blinken yesterday, as the U.S. Secretary of State, was telling him that he has nothing to worry about, that the federal government will follow and implement the recommendations by the state government. So he said they would not interfere in the panel report, that's the #NSAS panel report, and that they're waiting for the state government to provide their recommendations. So in a nutshell, everybody's waiting for this white paper. So by God's grace, Abba Allah will meet this white paper, and then we'll take it from there. Moving on now to the Punch. Few marketers predict 170 naira per litre, claim supply drop, and NNPC disagrees. ASU may withdraw strike threat, but Jabia Miller others intervene. And prophet rapes 8-month-old pregnant lady during private deliverance. This was a very, very sad story. I think it happened in Oyo State. It was a young pastor. He came to the community that I'm a prophet. I mean, I don't understand. He just came and they accepted him as a prophet. So while he was doing one of his sessions, he now spotted a 22-year-old pregnant lady, and I told her to come aside that he has a message for her. So of course she went in with him, and then he raped her. 8-month-old woman.
Pregnant woman.
Pregnant woman. Obviously, he was caught and he has confessed, and is now begging for mercy.
Hope it's not for ritual purposes.
Exactly, it looks suspicious.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's quite
Yeah,
suspicious.
Because in the Southwestern custom, you don't sleep with a woman that is pregnant for someone else.
Yeah.
It has serious implications.
So it might actually be ritual
Yes,
purposes. I
might
didn't
be
even think
for-
about that.
for the
That's
people.
interesting. Okay, the major headline, who has that story?
Yes, I do. So the dealers under the aegis of Independent Petroleum Marketers Association are saying, you know, that pump price of petrol may go up from 162, 165 naira per liter to 170, especially during the festive season. That's because they're also predicting depot prices are going to increase from 159 naira per liter to 165. So the reasons why this is likely to happen is the supply is low. Many tank farms and depots actually do not have petrol, you know, in storage. But NNPC is disagreeing with them. Says we have enough to carry us through the festive season. Then they also said that there are charges that are meant to be made and those charges are paid in dollars, even though they had an agreement with NNPC that these charges should be made in naira. And that has still not been implemented, and that affects prices. And also the cost of, you know, keeping the products at the depot too is quite high. So all these things, you know, affect the final price, the retail prices that we
I want to believe that
get.
NNPC is already doing something about this, because for the past 1 week now, we've seen tankers loading all the way to Kirikiri and those all the way to Ijegu, even though the roads are under construction. So let's hope that in a week we'll see ease.
All right.
Yes,
Let's take
yes, we know that ASU has given the federal government 3 weeks ultimatum to, you know, sort out their grievances, or else they will go back to strike. So the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, organized a tripartite meeting between the Minister of Finance, members from ASU, and people from the federal government representing. And he's saying that this is not the time to keep going on strike. Strike should be used as, you know, when every other thing fails, every other, you know, plans to have a conversation fails, then you resort to strike, because we can't keep stopping the academic session of students in the bid to solve this problem. Right. So the Minister of Finance is promising that the money that is meant to be paid will be disbursed before the end of the week. That's before the end of the ultimatum, and they will get their money. They are also looking at, you know, verifying the UTAS platform for payment, saying that they are still sorting out some of the modalities for that, and everything will be sorted. But strike is not the way to go. Okay, let's move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. States get FG's 656 billion naira support. Gbajabiamila meets Buhari, says president supports direct primaries. Set up independent inquiry on the Justice Odeli's home invasion, FG. Falana tells Buhari. FG to address ASU's basic demands next week. Lagos needs $15 billion in 5 years for infrastructure, says Sanwo-Olu. Nigeria's economic grew by 4.03% in Q3, says NBS. Railway workers begin strike, cripple operations nationwide, and armed thugs attack Osun APC factional meeting. Okay,
so the 665 million naira bridge financing that the Minister for Finance talked about will be disbursed to states in the same proportion of 18.25 billion. Of course, this is to help them in the repayment plan. You know, the bailout that was given to the governors the FEC has decided to deduct these monies from allocation, and governors were complaining that this would affect salaries and other projects in their state. So they've provided another bridge financing for a 30-year period, and, you know, they will disburse these monies within a space of 6 months to the governors to assist them, and payment plan will be in 30 years. There will be moratorium on the interest on top of it as well. This is supposed to assist states to cope with the payment payback. I hope that they do pay back, that we don't have another issues to deal with in 30 years' time.
Okay. Yes. So there was a roundtable and launching of deal book organized by the Office of the Sustainable Development Goals and Investment, and the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Sanwo-Olu, called on investors to optimize the advantages of the opportunities the states have to, you know, develop the state. And they're saying that they will be needing $15 billion over the next 5 years for infrastructure, and they're calling on private organizations to partner with the Lagos State government, saying that if you compare with other states, you see that Lagos State has more of infrastructural development because they've been partnering, they've been getting foreign direct investments from even private companies and organizations, and we need to work together to ensure the well-being, the growth of thousands of, millions of people living in Lagos State.
Okay, another story. We've taken ASU already. I was going to... There's a story that jumped at me here. Okay, the Taraba enlisting service of agro rangers to safeguard farms. I really wanted to read that story. I totally forgot it. Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we move on to the other papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, we're still reviewing the papers. I think we have one more story in Taraba.
Yeah. So from Taraba State, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. David Kassa, was saying that on Thursday, the government had enlisted the services of agro rangers from the NSCDC to help safeguard farms during the harvest season. He says that the crop season has been very successful this year, especially for rice and cassava. And this was made possible by the FADAMA and International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD interventions. So they are going to make sure that people are able to go to their farms and get these crops. We know how insecurity has affected really distribution and, the supply chain of agriculture. So I guess this will move in the right direction. And we hope that just knowing that will put all these bandits at bay, for people to get to their farms and harvest.
Moving on now to Daily Sun. Bandits now use radio frequency walkie-talkie. Hashtag NSAS report. I'm waiting for Sanwo-Olu and other governors, says Buhari. 65 Nigerians' monuments qualify for World Heritage Sites. FG excited over delisting Nigeria from religious violators record. Bill to move CCT from the executive list to judiciary passes second reading. Commuters stranded as railway workers short train services nationwide. And Kanu alleges inhuman treatment in detention. Okay, which story are we taking?
65 Nigerian monuments that qualify for the World Heritage Site. According to the Director General of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, Professor Abba Tijani, who is at the UNESCO World Heritage, UNESCO 41st UNESCO General Conference in Paris with our Minister for Information, was talking about the World Heritage Sites that we have, saying that only 2 have been, listed as World Heritage Sites in Nigeria, and that is the Osogbo site where the festival takes place, and then one in Adamawa. But the Obi of Onitsha used the same vein to talk about the Zik mausoleum in Onitsha that was, supposedly supposed to keep the memory of the first president of the country, the Wole of Onitsha, in place. He says that although the Ministry for Works and Housing have established a presidential committee for the management of that place, but it looks totally abandoned. Right. It looks far from what it is. And if we are saying that we want other sites enlisted as World Heritage Sites, we should first of all start with the maintenance and management of the ones that we have existing already.
All right, so one of our lawmakers, federal lawmakers, Solomon Bob, from Rivers State, from the PDP, has sponsored a bill to move the Code of Conduct Tribunal from the executive arm of government to the judiciary. According to him, the executive, as a democracy, the executive shouldn't be in charge of these of these trials because Code of Conduct, as you know, is supposed to legislate over issues concerning conduct
and public workers.
Yes, so they're saying that it shouldn't be under the purview of the executive. And this bill has passed the second reading, and we're hoping that it might become law, so they'll then move them under the judiciary. It should be separate.
Also, is the major headline in the nation. Yeah. The cutting off of network in certain areas in the north supposedly produced some result, but the bandits have reacted, according to that report, by using walkie-talkie, so they can then talk to themselves directly. So if they found an alternative, I hope we're 10 steps ahead of them and doing the same thing. Either we open up the networks and then we start to do.
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to take that story you just took now. So in addition to that, that containment order, which was to help fight insecurity, is the fact that the GSM facilities were restricted. They condoned us some roads, so bandits were not supposed to be able to take those roads. Yes, they were not allowed to sell PMS to them. So what they now found is that these bandits get into the villages, kidnap people, and force them to give them PMS. So they come into a compound and hold you and ask you to go and get PMS for them. Petrol, yes. Petrol for them, and that's what's been happening. But the government, that's the SSG, is saying that they're finding ways to, curb the issues. They are still going to be reviewing the containment order, saying that those people have found a way to circumvent it. Maybe they'll come up with new modalities to fight insecurity.
Yeah. I've got more stories. So thousands of passengers yesterday, they were stranded at our very new railway station because the workers went on a 3-day warning strike. And really that they're complaining about their non-payment of salaries, no provision of accommodation for them, their allowances haven't been paid. They says that management has not shown any commitment towards their welfare. They spoke to the NUR's Secretary General, and he says that it's only in Nigeria you find a train driver driving something worth billions of naira and yet goes home with 26,000 naira. And that this is the first time that their strike is a peaceful strike. There's no violence, they're not destroying anything, but they just want to come together as one so that government can hear them demand for their right.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. SARS, FG waiting for panel reports from the state, says Buhari. And that's we've not taken. PDP kicks as APC backs Akeredolu over Son's appointment as DG. Detainees interacting with IPOB leader in custody, being punished, Kanu's lawyers allege. Badagry collapse, owner converted old bungalow to story building, says neighbors. Delisting Nigeria from religious freedom blacklist excites federal government, says Lai Mohammed. Buhari believes in direct primaries by Jabir Milam and strike. FG promises to address ASU's demands in 7 days. Yoruba Nation, FG wants to blackmail me, says Akintoye. Okay, story are we taking?
The Badagry collapse building, this building that collapsed in Magbon, in Badagry, was built, according to the Vanguard, when they visited the site, was built on a swampy area. It used to be a bungalow, and then the landlord got wise and greedy and decided to make it a story building, probably to earn more money from rent. But the builders, while they were working on site, the building collapsed on them. Now, the account of those survivors is what is even more painful. Okay. In the report, they said that one Alhaji Abdullah and one Ifeanyi were willing to speak. They were in a private hospital and the report had already, not only, according to Alhaji Abdul, not only did the report that first of all came out carry a different building from the one that collapsed, they also said that they've been taken to the Badagry General Hospital for x-rays, whereas they are still waiting for the LCDA chairman to show up to see them in the private hospital where they are being held and taken to the general hospital for that x-ray. They were first of all taken while bleeding and wounded to the police station. What? That was the response that they first of all got. They were taken to the police station, and it was, he said, I was bleeding from my head. Nobody builds a house, to collapse, intending to kill people. But this was our fate. But the response was to take to police station before hospital. Hey. So they had to go find their way to a private hospital where they are being kept. And till the time of the report, the LCDA chairman had not come. And they're waiting, they're saying until he comes, they will move them to General Hospital to do the right response to them. We treated Ikoyi differently. Yeah, two different responses. It's not in Cotonou. I don't understand. Okay, another story we've not taken. Yeah, you have the listing story. You want to take that? I didn't read the story. Okay, so let's take another.
Okay, there wasn't much. Just to say that, I think in 2020 we have been put on a list of countries who didn't show tolerance to freedom of, people to practice their religion. And now the United States has, revised that and taken us off that list. And the Minister for Information was like, of course, we are known to be a country that allows for people to practice their religion, freely anyway. So this is much more a true reflection of what we do in Nigeria.
Okay, and the final paper today is Guardian. Let's find a story we've not taken. Ooh, Professor Andy Wu with Ebony Life Group CEO Muhammadu Professor Feng Hu at the Harvard Business School. Congratulations to her. Buhari signs climate change AMCON amends bills into law. Insecurity, lower oil production, slow economic growth in Q3. Let's find another story. Panic in Imo as state records 38 COVID-19 cases in 1 day. Oops. Harvard Business School to teach case study on Ebony Life. Yeah. and 145 looted Benin artifacts in Pitt Rivers Museum, says Oxford University. Okay.
Are we teaching that in our Nigerian universities too? I mean,
I know that in my own school, Pan Atlantic University, we use Ebony Life as a case study. We use the work that they've done. They are one of the case studies we use amongst others. So, I mean, I think the story is worth looking at, and our business models, how she started, what her sustainable strategy is. Sustainable strategy
is, and this is our local story. We should own it, and I hope that our schools are also doing adopting this.
Pan Atlantic is also a private. We're talking about federal and state universities, and they studied Fela for their music school.
Yeah, that's the question.
They are studying Fela in the London School of Arts already.
Not even that, they're also studying the Igbo business model.
Yes. In the US, and they made the papers, but
we're very good at exporting our best.
Our ASU is they are frustrated. Government does not have time for them.
Today is not there. Today we're not talking about that. Please,
I'm just saying.
On that note, that's all.
Please, on that note, thank you so much. This has helped the newspaper review immensely. So thank you.
This is our stuff, right?
I know, and it fits Mariam. Mariam's very, she knows this kind of thing. So you see how it just fits you. I see this for you. I'm still trying to see how I can go around it, but it's all good. It just fits you perfect. All right, let's go on a break. Oh, I forgot to say I'm styled by my mom.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. You like it? Yes. Every Friday now I'm going to Ramba because there's so many, plenty. And today is World International Men's Day.
Oh, I
just heard.
How do we do
so please, as you're playing, let's play with our men.
Okay.
World International Men's
Day.
Let's find something. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we go on to our hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.